Okay. Welcome everyone again to Cleansing 101. We are going to be with you for about 45 minutes to share with you the basics of Ayurvedic cleansing, how it works, why it works, when is the best time to cleanse, as well as what you need to know when you start thinking about Ayurvedic cleansing and cleansing at home, some things you should take into consideration. And we'll also just begin by telling you about who we are as Cultivate Balance as well, what we do. And then we'll tell you a little bit about Ayurveda as well. Is anyone here totally new to Ayurveda? Or have you dabbled in it a little bit? Feel free to type in the chat and let us know where you're at. But either way, we'll give a little dabbled. Love that. Either way, new. Oh my God, amazing. Nice. Well, we're going to give some really quick and helpful background, and just know that if you get more curious about the basics of Ayurveda, we have tons of workshops and webinars and courses that you can go deeper down that route specifically. But today we're talking about Ayurvedic cleansing. that was a mouthful for me.
So I'm Sierra and this is Molly, and we are both certified Ayurvedic practitioners, and we're the co-founders of Cultivate Balance. We started in Boulder, Colorado, and now we're sort of moving around. Like Molly said, we're in Yucca Valley right now. We just completed our Ayurvedic cleanse, so we're really excited to share that with you. But our mission is to build individual and collective resilience through Ayurvedic lifestyle design as an emergent strategy for growing our capacity to embody the just and sustainable world that we know is possible.
So for us, everything that we offer through Cultivate Balance really comes back to helping people create resilience. Resilience is our padding to the world. It's the thing that helps us carry on and do our best and make our contributions to the world despite challenges that arise. Resilience is also related to our immunity, to our ability to feel
centered and grounded
Yeah, it's kind of like the subtle essence of kapha, and we'll tell you more about the doshas in a bit. But that's our whole thing. Is really resilience. It's as simple as that. And we believe that self-care is a radical act, that when you are vibrant and awake and feeling resilient, that you will have the energy and the clarity to show up for what matters most. So we're not just here to say, okay, take care of yourself and that's the end.
Yeah.
We're like, take care of yourself so that you can really show up for your work in the world and show up for your family, whatever your work in the world is, the better we feel, the better we can really live our purpose.
That's right.
That's right. So we offer online education, we offer virtual and in-person consultations, we offer workshops, we offer guides, we do sort of a whole host of things that all circle back to resilience, and cleansing is a huge one.
Very central to that.
So Sierra is going to tell you a little bit about Ayurveda, and then we'll get into some of the cleansing components that you're also curious about.
That's right. So Ayurveda is the ancient holistic healing science of India. It has been around for thousands and thousands of years. There's documented case studies that go back literally thousands of years that make this ancient wisdom that was essentially channeled from the cosmos through meditation originally. That's how it came to be, which we think is really special and cool. And now there's hard evidence that this wisdom actually really, really works. And something that's interesting about Ayurveda is that it was actually forced underground during the British Raj, beginning in about the 1850s. Which was a really, really difficult time for this, what was essentially a folk wisdom that had been a traditional wisdom that had been carried forward, and it was actually outlawed. And people held on to it, they held on to it in their homes, and it survived the British Raj and then came back to life basically when that period ended. And we are so grateful for the people who carried that wisdom forward. And we're also very aware of the privilege that it is to be two white women sharing this wisdom that has such a core ancestral country we are not from, that being India. And Ayurveda is such a vast, almost cosmic wisdom that is as beautifully simple as it is complex. And really what Ayurveda comes down to is maintaining balance. That's why we are called Cultivate Balance. And it's about maintaining balance of the elements within and around you. So we're all constantly interacting with the elements of the world around us, be that the food, the weather. Right now we're experiencing big air energy right now, big wind energy. And it also has to do with staying in balance with the rhythms of nature, and that being whether that's the rhythm of the day, the sun cycle, or the rhythm of the seasons, the turning of the earth, all of the cycles of nature. So it's about being in balance with the rhythms and the elements of nature, and that that element of seasonal rhythm comes up when it comes to cleansing. So Ayurveda is, the other thing to mention about Ayurveda is it's actually so luxurious. It was originally utilized, I believe, for kings, and you sort of feel like a king, queen, royalty.
Specifically Ayurvedic cleansing, there's a cleanse called Panchakarma, which we offer, which is real deep cleansing, and that was the cleanse of kings in India. And
it's just, Ayurveda is just full of these rich oils and delicious foods, and all sorts of rejuvenative practices that just feel really good. And I think that's one of the reasons why Ayurvedic cleansing is so special, is because it is nourishing, it's grounding, it feels like you're being wrapped in a warm blanket. Whereas, some of these modern cleanses, like a juice cleanse that's just purely juice, or powders that you're taking, it's more about deprivation and control. And Ayurveda offers sort of a nourishing, luxurious alternative that is actually better for the system. It doesn't rock you quite as hard.
Right.
So,
and ultimately, Ayurveda is the science of longevity. And there's so many cleanses in the modern world that are about ultimately about depletion. You can only do so many lightening types of activities before your body starts to wear away on its own tissues. So Ayurveda understands that fine balance of what's the right amount of lightening, so that we can then build up and be in that deeply rejuvenative space. And that is really, for us, the beauty of all of Ayurveda. There is no deprivation. It's not about control. It's about caring for our bodies. It's a whole different lens of relating to our bodies than what so many of us were taught in the Western world. And what I've found is that it actually feels very natural. The more that I do Ayurvedic practices and nourishing cleansing, the more I feel like, oh, I'm coming home to my body. I'm recommitting to my practices. I'm remembering what works for me and what feels my best. And that is such a gift. So that's another thing about what Ayurvedic cleansing is. It's about care and nourishment over control and deprivation. But it's also more than just cleansing your body with food. So there is a component of a simple diet, but there's also a component of ancient body care rituals and of rest and of reflection and mindfulness. So there's a whole mental component, because just as our bodies can get clogged with physical toxins of poorly digested food, our minds can get clogged of mental toxins. So Ayurvedic cleansing really covers all of your bases to support the body and the mind and really the spirit. And that is holistic medicine. That is the point, true holistic medicine. So how let's see, what do I need to say? So within Ayurvedic cleansing, it works to remove toxins and excess doshas from the body. So toxins, you probably understand what those are. That's like poorly digested food, usually, that can clog the channels. In Ayurveda, we call it ama. And doshas are the sort of general word for how the elements are existing within us. So you might have too much wind element in your body, which we would call vata. And Ayurvedic cleansing helps remove not just the toxins, but the excess elements to bring your elements within your body, your doshas, back into harmony with one another. It's really about sort of reviving your body's natural intelligence.
Right. And the idea is that when there's toxins and excess doshas, this is essentially the root of disease.
That's right.
So if you are on a schedule of at least once a year, ideally twice a year, you're doing an Ayurvedic cleanse to remove these toxins, which we'll talk a little bit more about in just a second, and the excess doshas, you're essentially removing the root of disease from your body, and that'll give you longevity and it'll resilience, and it'll have you feeling comfortable in your daily life, right? Mm-hmm. There's like the daily piece of just like food, digestion, and energy, and mood, and just general vitality, but then also thinking long term. You know, most of these diseases that are manifesting in our bodies in the long term are related to not having noticed and purged the toxins and the doshas throughout time. So it's really a long-term and a short-term solution.
And Ayurveda in general, and specifically Ayurvedic cleansing, really invites us back into that space of listening to our bodies, of really tuning in to say, oh yeah, I do feel a little bit off, to start to get into that pattern of remembering how to listen to our bodies, so that even when you're not cleansing, you're tuning in more deeply, and the imbalances aren't going as far because you're noticing them more quickly and course correcting, which is like,
right. We like to talk about kind of narrowing the swing of the pendulum, right? Like there's a lot in the world right now of people who will tend, doing sort of like a really intense cleanse and then like binging on really intense, foods and, alcohol and all of these things. And what happens when you cleanse and you understand like, oh, this is what it feels like to feel vital. This is what it feels like to have my best energy. This is what it feels like to have, memory and focus and clarity of mind and all of these benefits. Then you don't actually even feel the tendency to go out and binge on some of the things that are, causing discomfort in your life on the daily. And that I think is one of the really big benefits. It's sort of, and we will also say that it's okay to go out of balance.
Right. It's never about deprivation, right? So it's about, like Sierra said, narrowing the pendulum. So you indulge in whatever way feels good, and then you bring it back, and just like having that awareness, the swings are smaller. But Ayurveda really, and especially our approach to Ayurveda, is really about strategy for quality of life. So we would never tell anyone, don't go out and enjoy that forever.
Pizza. I love it.
Enjoy the pizza and then have some digestive tea. And that is the narrowing of the pendulum.
Yeah.
So tell them about the benefits.
Well, I feel like we've covered most of these benefits here. So, but I right?
Yeah, maybe just we should mention about the digestive system.
We're going to talk about that here in a second.
She's on it.
Okay, so what is Ayurvedic cleansing designed to do? So the thing is that our Agni, our digestive system, our digestive fire, which we call Agni in Ayurveda, is essentially this little flame that's inside of us all the time. And it's responsible for the transformation of anything that we take into our body. It actually exists at many different levels on the body, but there's a digestive fire called Jatar Agni that is responsible for transforming the food that we take into our body into our thriving existence. So what can happen throughout our daily lives is that if we're eating, really heavy foods, or just like, in a Western diet, things can get kind of clogged in there, and that digestive fire can get a little bit stamped out. And when it gets stamped out, anything that you put into your body is not getting transformed and assimilated in the way that it should, but instead it starts to actually, the terminology we use is ferment and go rancid and create this metabolic waste that's called ama in Sanskrit.
Mhm.
These words that we're using that you might not recognize, like Agni and Ama or doshas, are all Sanskrit words. So that's the language that Ayurveda was originally written in. So ama is this sticky substance. It's a sticky mucilaginous substance that kind of gets built up in your stomach. And then it can actually create a stickiness in all channels of the body that prevent even like the synapses in your subtle channels in your nervous
Cellular
system.
communication.
Cellular communication, exactly. And it can also, so right down to that level, and then it can also create clogs like in the digestive system. So like that create bloating, constipation, any of these like digestive discomforts that we feel. And one of the challenges with this is that when we have this sticky substance in the body called ama, it prevents and blocks our nutrients from actually assimilating into the body. So then you could be eating, all your healthiest food, and it would be being basically blocked from being assimilated into the body and nourishing the cells and tissues and the brain. And this ama, as we've said, is a common factor in disease. It's at the root, actually, Ayurveda would say it's at the root of all disease. So what the cleansing does, and the Ayurvedic cleansing does, is reignite that digestive fire, which is really, we cannot emphasize this enough, at the root of everything. That's why Molly said, drink some digestive herbs right after you eat that pizza. It's not that you don't eat the pizza, it's that you have the digestive herbs afterwards, because we want to kindle that Agni, that digestive fire. So the cleansing is about reigniting that digestive fire, and then also pulling the toxins from all of the corners of the body and eliminating them out through the digestive tract. And Molly will talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's really how it works. It's as simple as that. Ayurvedic cleansing brings the toxins to the digestive tract so that we can send them out. It's like so efficient. And so how does Ayurvedic cleansing work beyond that? In order to dislodge the toxins deep from the tissues so that they can go to the digestive tract, we eat a very simple diet. We lubricate the body's channels with internal and external oleation. Oil is a big part of Ayurveda. And we tend to Agni with certain herbs, with the diet, with the body care. Everything that we do in Ayurveda actually is about supporting digestive fire, because we believe that is the center of all health. And rest is really a big part of how we eliminate toxins, because it gives our body the gentle space to do its cleansing work, right? It's work to dislodge toxins, to send them to the digestive tract and to move them through. And if you're trying to do a cleanse and you're multitasking all over the place, less energy is going to that cleansing process. So rest is very important. We can't stress that enough. That is a lesson that we learn time and time again. Really. And I'll tell you, it's hard. It's in capitalism, and we're all doing our best.
That's right. Yeah, the simplification of the food, the simplification of the lifestyle, all of that makes it easier for your body to actually do the work that it actually wants to do. So we're really just supporting our bodies to do their best work. So
that sounds great.
So when is the best time to detox? According to Ayurveda, which is, as I mentioned, a science that emphasizes living in alignment with the cycles, the rhythms of nature. In fact, we have a term for it. It's called Ritacharya, which is basically a lifestyle design that includes appropriate seasonal routines. Ayurveda would say that you should cleanse in the spring and the fall at these transitions. And at least this is true in places where there are these very specific seasons, because certain doshas, which again, as Molly said, is the general term for the elements, certain elements are showing up stronger during each season. And so when you're at the transition, you want to kind of purge those excess doshas that have kind of accumulated, as we say, in the body over that season in order to prepare for the new season to come. So in the springtime, which is now, we are cleansing to purge kapha. Throughout the winter, kapha sort of builds, and kapha is the earth and water element. It's a bit heavier, it's sort of stagnant, or I guess we could say stable. It's just like in the winter, you're kind of like, calming down, and in some places there's a heavy snow, and then as springtime comes, which is this time of rejuvenation, there's also this of soil, and that heavy dampness of the kapha dosha. We're getting a message that our internet's unstable, hopefully you can hear us. Can actually slow down the digestive fire. So in the springtime, you're purging out all of that excess heaviness, and you're kindling that digestive fire to sort of balance the heaviness of spring. Now, we also cleanse in the fall, and the fall is about purging out the excess pitta dosha, which is the fire element that's coming during the summertime. And an interesting thing that happens during the summer is that because our bodies are working so hard to expel the excess heat, our digestive fire actually goes down because it's pushing all that fire out. It's not holding that fire in. And so basically pitta really, really accumulates in the fall, and you can get all the symptoms associated with excess fire in your body. And you want to purge that out, right around the equinox, the fall equinox. So we like to cleanse as happy equinox, everyone. Today is the equinox. We just are finishing up our spring cleanse because timing it right around the spring equinox and the fall equinox is really, really ideal. And the other thing I want to say about timing your cleanse is that you really want to think about carving out almost a month of time to be really paying attention to this cleansing process. And it's not to say that you're fully cleansing for a full month. Generally, an Ayurvedic cleanse is just about 5 days. You can sort of shorten to 3, or you can go really deep on a 7-day cleanse. But there's a really important aspect of preparation and an important aspect of reintegration that happens. And so during that time, and especially during the focused cleanse, you really want to carve out some time where you're not traveling, you have fewer social engagements, it's not the week that you have a wedding going on, and fewer work engagements if possible. So you want to be thinking about that, and you can actually start to think about what we're trying to think about now is actually planning out our years so that we have these months sort of free of some of those bigger commitments so that we can carve it out. So you can start to think. Ayurveda really invites you to start thinking that big picture.
Right. So really the timing is kind of like when Sierra says a month, it's like you spend like 2 weeks kind of tapering down, cleaning up your diet. Like it can be pretty low key, but you just like want to be paying attention. And then you do a 3-5 day cleanse, and then you build things back in over a couple of weeks. So it's pretty like manageable and enjoyable. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm cleansing for a month, I can't have anything that I want. It's just that like we're sensitive about the time surrounding a cleanse. You don't cleanse your body and then immediately go eat the piece of pizza, because that can actually be harmful. Usually the things that we eat first thing after a cleanse, when our digestive tracts are super clean, are the things that we crave the most. And I have experienced that in a negative way a long time ago. And so we encourage you to, after a cleanse, like continue to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and healthy grains and healthy fats, the things that you really want to crave, so that the week after your cleanse, when you start introducing things maybe more like pizza or coffee or whatever, your body is really fortified to process those things and is still primarily craving the things that are going to be the most nutrient dense. So that is why we build our cleansing out over several weeks instead of just 5 days, because that is where the longevity and the resilience really are able to come in. And the whole point of cleansing Ayurvedically is actually about the opportunity to build healthy resilience on a really clean system.
Yeah. And I just want to take this moment to mention, like she said, we're building things back in so that we keep using pizza as an example, but Ayurveda is never, the goal is to be able to eat anything you want. So when you have this really strong digestive fire that you're building during the cleanse, then you're able to eat things that maybe even, historically you thought you had a really strong allergy to, or you said, I can't eat that ever, it causes this or this or this.
Mm-hmm.
When your digestive fire is strong and you've cleansed out your excess doshas and ama, the toxins, you should be able to eat a wider variety of things. And so it just takes building things in with intentionality. And you might actually find that you've healed some of your digestive challenges.
And I would argue that if you take, several weeks to eat intentionally and cleanse, that it's like an investment in the next 6 months, because you're able to eat more foods and not feel digestive discomforts. You're maybe not getting sick as much. You're not having to buy as many supplements later on. You're not having to buy as much like specific dietary type stuff, because you invested that time and energy once or twice a year, and you really see how that impacts the whole year or 6 months to come. And it's a huge investment in your health and in your quality of life.
Yeah.
And that is why we do it.
True.
So let's talk about the components of an Ayurvedic cleanse. We might have touched on some of these things already. So the main components are food or nourishment, self-care or body care rituals, and rest and mindfulness and reflection. So in terms of food, enjoying a simplified diet is really one of the pillars of Ayurvedic cleansing. So a mono diet Ayurvedically usually consists of something like khichdi. Have any of you ever had khichdi before? Have you heard of it? You know what's in there. We love it. It's such a great cleansing food because you don't feel deprived, you feel satiated. So khichdi is made up of yellow split mung beans and basmati rice, Ayurvedic spices, and ghee.
Yes, Kelly says
yes,
yay.
I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh, perfect. So khichdi is kind of the base for a mono diet in Ayurvedic cleansing. You could also have mung soup. Generally in our Ayurvedic cleanses that we offer to the world, we like to give people some options so that it's not only khichdi, but similar things in a cleansing meal plan. So a mono diet, a simplified diet with digestive spices, cutting out, processed oils and sugars and all of that. Another component of Ayurvedic cleansing can be fasting on juice or broth that is specific to your dosha, but this is like very short term and it's dosha specific. Ayurveda does not recommend an absolute liquid fast, because it can actually be depleting and damaging to the tissues. And again, our ultimate goal is to create resilience. Damaging the tissues is not going to create resilience. So in our programs, we offer juice and broth as an option, as a snack, as something to have if your digestion is feeling a little heavy. But we don't recommend that long term because it's depleting. It can actually like decrease immunity and longevity and wellness. So it is a component of Ayurvedic cleansing, but in real intentional ways that are constitution specific. Ghee is another really important part of Ayurvedic cleansing. If you're vegan, you could substitute coconut oil. Ghee is important because it really lubricates the digestive tract, so it supports healthy digestion and helps send the toxins out of the body. So huge part of Ayurvedic cleansing.
Ghee is essentially clarified butter. If anyone
has anyone made ghee? Do you use ghee? Do you eat ghee? Do you live for ghee?
You just pour it on everything, including your body.
Yeah, you can use ghee on your body in Ayurveda. So an appropriate simple diet really gives the digestive system a break, right? That's another reason why we simplify, is that when we eat things that are well cooked, well spiced, really easy to digest, it doesn't take so much energy and churning to move it through. It takes less energy, and therefore the body can send other energy toward healing and repairing other parts of the body. So that is very effective part of why cleansing works and why we simplify the diet.
And then the next component of the cleanse is hydration. This is a really, really important aspect because, you know, as you might think, the water element is here to wash away, right? So it helps dislodge the toxins and the doshas and then bring them to the digestive tract and then eliminate them. It's just like a river flowing out. And so some of the ways we hydrate, you know, we always love, this is like our number one recommendation in life in general, is warm lemon honey water first thing in the morning. And then you can drink like tulsi tea all day. Tulsi is one of our favorite herbs. It's for the mind. It's actually called the goddess incarnate in India. It's a really, really beautiful herb. And then digestive spice teas. So one that's made with cumin, coriander, and fennel. That's just absolutely lovely that you can have after meals to help just, again, to keep kindling the digestive fire while you're hydrating. So one of the things to keep in mind with Ayurveda in general, and especially while cleansing, is that you pretty much always are drinking warm beverages, maybe with the exception of juice, which should be room temperature. But warm beverages, again, help kindle that digestive fire, so never ice. And so we are just drinking tea basically all day, every day, and it feels so good. Best way to hydrate.
That's right. So the last key, second to last key component of Ayurvedic cleansing is body care rituals. And so many practices rooted in the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda actually promote natural detoxification, because Ayurveda is really about returning to the wisdom of your own body, and the wisdom of the body to detoxify is one component of that. So like oil massage, for example, dry brushing, help your body with circulation and lymph flow and all of these things that are loosening toxins, supporting your immune system, like helping you cleanse naturally. That's just like the body care practices of Ayurveda have so much wisdom. So it's not just like, oh, we do oil massage because it feels good, even though it does. It's like we do oil massage because it actually helps support the flow of toxins out of the body, in addition to being absorbed as nourishment through the skin, in addition to like supporting longevity and beauty and that healthy glow. I mean, so many things. So there's tons of body care rituals that we recommend during an Ayurvedic cleanse. It sort of depends on your dosha, but self-oil massage is a huge one. Other things with oil, like oil pulling. Oral hygiene is important. So tongue scraping is a big one. We do different face pastes or masks, which are called lepenas.
Nose oils are a really good one.
Even eye oil, which is a whole fascinating thing, as well as other types of like rinses, a triphala eye rinse,
neti pot,
Oh my gosh, there's like
so many fun,
and they're fun. And not only do they support natural detoxification, but they're like supporting beauty and immunity and ease, and that is part of it as well. And actually, body care practices often promote stress release. Yeah. Which, when our bodies are experiencing less stress, they can also do more healing. Ear oil, absolutely. Someone just wrote that into the chat. Ear oil and ear massage can be a big part of Ayurvedic cleansing. Ayurvedic cleansing is really hones in on the senses, like purifying through the nose, through the ears, through the eyes, and the skin. So absolutely, ear oil is part of it.
Yep. And then we touched on this already, but the fourth component of Ayurvedic cleansing is definitely the rest and rejuvenation piece. Rest and reflection piece. And this is really, as Molly said, you know, our systems can also get clogged with these sort of emotional toxins that are from stress or grief or just from grind culture. I mean, so many of us are facing burnout right now. We're constantly, our bodies and minds are being pulled on by the forces of capitalism. And it can be really, really hard to carve out the time to actually truly get into a rest space. Sometimes even we go on vacation and we're not actually resting. And so carving out any amount of time for truly just being with yourself, you know, doing some journaling, doing some just like even just staring at a wall. And one of our favorite things to do is just lay down and listen to a really interesting podcast that sort of supports inspiration with purpose and pleasure. Is another way of doing rest and reflection that we like to engage in during our Ayurvedic cleanses. Yeah.
And yeah, I was just going to say that's something that we incorporate into our cleansing personally and also into our cleansing programs for others, because we feel like it's such an important part of it.
And it's such an opportunity when you're in this reflective and rested state, you're actually able to integrate some of these ideas that you can carry forward in your life. And again, as I said, related to purpose, related to pleasure, related to just like our divinity as human beings, and the fact that we really do deserve rest, even if we've been sort of socialized to believe that our value is associated with our product. What that being in a reflective space on that can offer us is really, really profound. And also the rest piece, you will find that the physical aspects of the cleanse, you know, what we've been talking about with the digestifier and the cleansing of the doshas and the toxins, it's actually, you can get those benefits even more deeply if you're in a state of rest. We also recognize that people have things going on. You know, you might have children or family, someone that you're taking care of, or a job that makes it harder for you to carve out, you know, full 5 days to totally, you know, just lay in bed and do body care rituals. But if you can slow down even just a bit and give yourself that gift, you'll really get even more benefits of the physical aspects of the cleanse. So yeah.
So let's recap. Some of this will be a recap on things to consider when you're preparing for your own cleanse. Okay, so timing is a big one, right? That includes the season. You don't want to cleanse when it's too hot. You don't want to cleanse when it's too cold. But that also includes life commitments. You don't want to cleanse if you have a wedding the following week. So timing is a big component. I think it really helps to look at your schedule in advance before it starts to fill up, or to just like generally keep in mind that you want to cleanse around the spring and around the fall. Duration of your cleanse. How much time do you have? Are you doing a 3-day thing? Are you doing a 5-day thing? Are you going really deep with a 7-day thing? Also, the state of your wellness is really important to consider. Are you feeling pretty depleted, or are you feeling relatively strong? There are different levels of cleansing therapies that are available based on where you are in that. And that level of nuance is something that a practitioner can support you with. But it is something to be considering on your own. Just like, how are you doing personally, and what do you feel like you have the capacity for? And then within that, you'll want to make sure that you're choosing an appropriate meal plan, probably not too much fasting from the Ayurvedic perspective, but definitely a simplified mono diet, as well as appropriate body care rituals based on your needs and what your current state of wellness is telling you would feel really good. You'll want to think about setting up your space and taking time off work if you can. Those are all important considerations, as well as support. So not only support from maybe your family members and your friends to let them know you're going to be going through a cleanse, but are you getting support from a practitioner? Are you meeting with a practitioner one-on-one? Are you getting a personalized cleansing plan? Are you finding a group program, or are you doing, you know, a lot of research and connecting with your intuition to try and figure out kind of a solo journey? Support is an important part of the cleansing process.
Yes, which is, so that's a great segue, because we just supported each other. We're out here in the Yucca Valley.
That's right.
And my sister is here as well with us. And so the three of us just really dropped in to a group cleanse together. We just rented a house out here, which, you know, it, again, a very privileged thing to get to do, but really helped to not be sort of distracted by other people in our lives and invitations and pizza parties. Pizza just on the mind, apparently. But so we've been out here for 5 days. We've been eating khichdi and mung soup. We have been setting up beautiful little stations for oiling our bodies. We actually have a little steam tent out here for sweating, which is part of another body care ritual that we didn't mention. We've been doing neti pot. We've been doing oil pulling, all the things, just sort of really immersing ourselves in this experience in a really, really beautiful way. And we've also been doing a little bit of work while we've been here, because we've been so excited to connect with you all. And we're also refining this experience so that we can really share it with others. We walked a group through this past fall, and it was just an absolutely glorious experience. And so we're kind of tweaking all of that. And we will say that we noticed that doing that work, we noticed kind of the pull between dropping into the deep cleansing space and also being able to show up for our work. We're noticing and aware of the challenges in that. We might set it up differently next time.
Yeah, and we would use that lesson for ourselves to say to all of you, if you can take time off or set some boundaries around work, we really recommend it for effective cleansing. And I will also say that during this 5 days, we've had real moments of like clarity and energy of just being like, oh my gosh, this works. We're totally off coffee. We're here with you now. No coffee, no pizza,
No pizza.
And we're feeling good. I mean, I really feel like I've come back to myself. I love to do this program. I don't know if we mentioned, it's called the Reset for Resilience, because I feel like it helps me every 6 months recommit to my practices. I'm always like, oh yeah, nasya, that's nose oil. I love this practice and I want to try to remember to do this even when I'm not cleansing. And the program really helps me reset and weave some of those things back in. So I love it for that. And I love sharing it because I'm really proud of what we have created in terms of the reflective piece as well.